So first I'll start off by priming my eyelids. I use a flat concealer brush that looks like this just to correct the darkness around my eye area and make the eyeshadow last longer. Next I'll be going in with my blending brush to blend out the concealer before I apply my eyeshadow. And when blending out your concealer, you want to start out from the edges and then go inward. Going in with the Polar Beauty eyeshadow. This is a Nigerian brand, by the way. I'm starting off using this burnt orange shade from the eyeshadow as my transition shade. Then I'm going in with a blending brush that looks just like this. So you want to use a medium-sized blending brush for this step, not a small or a big blending brush. Now the application of these colors have to be very precise. I'm going in from the edges of my eyes. So I'm applying majority of the product at the ends. Then I'm swiping in with the remnant into my crease. So you can see how I'm doing. I focus the majority of the products at the end just to give me that lifted eye look, and then I apply the remnant into my eye. So you have to go in this step, apply, blend outward, and then blend inward. Then I layer this step about 3 times, going in with the same products. Next, we're going to go in with another eyeshadow. I'm using the V Beauty Cosmetics eyeshadow palette, also a Nigerian brand. And I'm going in with a deeper shade of orange just to layer it on top of what I already did and give more depth to the eyeshadow. I'm going in with the same brush I used previously for my transition shade. I'm just going to use that to do the same thing I did with my transition shade with this shade. So we apply, drag out, and then drag in, just in the same manner. I also layered this about 3 times. Now we're going to slowly introduce the browns into the eye. So I'm using this Juvia's Place bronzer palette. It's in the shade Deep Dark. I'm using the lighter shade first, and then I'll go in with the darker shade. We are also going in with the same technique we used as before. So if you notice, I'm majorly repeating the same steps throughout this eye look. So it's majorly about the technique, not necessarily the colors or whatever you put on your eye, but it's majorly how to apply it that matters. So I'm doing it in the same manner: apply, blend out, and then blend in. So I'm focusing more product on the outer corners of my eye. That is because I want that area lifted. So I want to give my face this full lifted eye look. So that's why I'm doing that. I'm blending it out and then I'm bringing it back into my eye. I layered this color a lot more than I did the others, so I layered it about 4 to 6 times just to get that color to pop out, and so it would overshadow the previous colors I've already applied. And then we're going to go in with the darker shade of brown in the same Juvia's palette that I used earlier. But this time around, I'm going in with a smaller brush because I want the product to be more focused on one area, so I need a very precise brush for this step. Now for this part, we're not repeating the same step we did earlier on. We're going to focus more on that outer corner. So we're going to just tap in the product on that outer corner and just blend it out. We're trying to focus the product on the outer corner of the eye because I want that area more pronounced and very lifted. I layered this part about 3 to 4 times. Then I'm going in with my concealer. This is the Too Faced Born This Way concealer in Taffy. I'm just going to use it to cut my crease. So I'm going in with my concealer brush. Now you want to be very careful when cutting your crease. You want to take it step by step and do it slowly. So I'm not going all the way in when cutting my crease. So I'm leaving just a bit of eyeshadow at the end. Then I'm going in with a blending brush. You want to get a fluffy big blending brush to blend out that crease you just cut. Now I'm going in a tapping motion. I am not rubbing, I'm not dragging. You want to tap slowly into your eye, and you don't need to do it too much so you don't blend out all the concealer away from your eyes. You want to also blend in the same manner that you applied, so I'm leaving out the edges just as I left it out when I was applying the concealer, and then I'm going right in between that eyeshadow and the concealer to blend out that line so it's seamless. Then we're going to go in with our eyeshadow. This is the V Beauty Naked eyeshadow palette. I'm going in with this shade on my eyelid, so I'm going to use a flat eyeshadow brush just like this. And before you go in with your eyeshadow, you want to make sure your concealer is well blended out on your eyelid before going in with the eyeshadow, because if you don't do this and you apply your eyeshadow directly to your eyeshadow will end up creasing and it won't look good. So for application, I'm going in a dabbing motion. I am not rubbing like how I did on my crease. I am just tapping it into my eyelid. And I'm majorly focusing more of the product in the middle, and then I'm using the remnant on the brush to blend it out into the other parts of my eyelid. Now I'm going back to the first blending brush I used. I'm just going to use that to diffuse that color at the edge of my eye, just to remove that demarcation between the darker shade and the lighter shade. And then I'm going over my crease to define that area again, just because I feel some products got into that area. Now to give it that seamless blend and make the look come together, I'm going to use a tiny brush. You want to use a very slim blending brush. This blending brush is different from all others we've been using before. This is very tiny compared to the others, as you can see. Now I'm going to go in with that second orange shade we used earlier, just to tie the look together. I'm going to use it to blend in between the dark shade and the light shade. Guys, this is a very key step in eyeshadow applications. It just ties the look together and makes it very cohesive. Now we're going in with a flat brush like this. I'm going to use this to do an eyeliner look with eyeshadow. Now I'm going in with a very dark brown shade from the first eyeshadow palette I used, Polar Beauty eyeshadow. I'm using that to create a liner. Now I'm going to go in with a flat, smaller eyeshadow brush to blend out that liner. And I'll be going back in with the eyeshadow I used earlier on, just to smoke out the edges of that liner I just created. So I'm going in just from the edges and I'm focusing my brush only on that area when blending out my eyeshadow. Now I'm just going to go in with my blending brush and just blend out the edges of my liner into my eyeshadow. Then I'm using the Maybelline Tattoo Liner just to tightline my eye. Now I'm going in with a big blending brush just to blend out the edges of my eyeshadow. So I'm focusing it only on the edges of my eyeshadow. Now you want to go in with a concealer close to your skin tone to clean out the edges of the eyeshadow look. Then finally, you want to go back in with your tiny blending brush and your eyeshadow shade that I used earlier just to smoke out your under eye. And that is it for our eyeshadow look. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel.